Welcome to the RPG podcast.
And we are live.
Oh God, Patton!
Presented by SHEATH. A Time Wheel production.
Yeah, I've been staying up lately playing video games. Way too late.
What game are you playing?
I'm playing this game called Fallout 76 with my wife, which is an online multiplayer version of Fallout. And it's basically just going around like scavenging and gathering things and building up like a camp, like a scavenger camp, and trading with people. And it's crazy. We discovered like a whole group of people that live in that world where there's like, oh yeah, let's go see my gun guy, and he brings in new guns every week, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is happening?
It's like a second world.
Yeah, dude, they just live in there, and help out people. They have a clan, and they get together and do events, and I'm just like, what? This is nuts. I'm not gonna go that deep and start living in there, but it's fun to play with my wife on, just to chill. Better than watching, shitty Netflix movies.
Well, speaking of shitty Netflix movies, I've been watching this show on Netflix called Queen of the South. Have you seen that?
No, I mean, I've heard the name, but I haven't seen it.
It's like a female version of Scarface in a drawn out like drama series.
Ah, you know what? I think I saw the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, I got hooked on it and I love it. So
Nice.
I love some Mexican culture, I grew how old are you?
I turn 40 in November.
Okay, so we're like similar age. Did you see American Me or
Oh, yeah.
Blood In, Blood Out? Those
Oh, yeah.
movies?
Vatos Locos Forever, carnal.
Carnal. Órale.
Vatos Locos Forever.
Oh my God. I
Love that
love
movie.
that. And I was, like kind of raised in a Mexican family because we're from South Texas and half of my family was Mexican, and they didn't want to teach us Spanish though because they wanted to whiteify us,
Oh.
and like,
Whitewashed.
yeah, honestly, my grandma even told me, she's like, we wanted you guys to fit in, we didn't want you to have any difficulties or whatever, and I look basically as white as one would be,
Right.
I'm very white passing, so that's what happened, and I feel like I was kind of not given my fair share of. I would have liked to learn the language, at least like teach me the language. So, and I know a lot, but it's very hard for me to speak. I can understand it a lot better. I was just listening to I think your most recent podcast, the RRBG Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast with Eddy Torres, right?
Yes, sir.
Eddie
Torres. Yeah.
And you did it in Spanish, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, man, that was an interesting adventure for me because I that was my first language, but it was, but over the years, obviously, all of my friends speak English, and going to classes and school and meeting people, and I just kind of slowly started talking less and less Spanish. And lately, I've been communicating with a lot of my old high school Cuban buddies, and we're trying to talk just in Spanish. And then I got presented with the opportunity to interview Penta, who's this enormous superstar, and but he only speaks Spanish.
Like a luchador, or
Yeah,
is he a fighter?
He's a luchador out from Mexico, AAA. One of the most popular guys. He and his brother Ray Phoenix are the Lucha Brothers, and they're like the huge. And now they're at AEW, which is the competition to WWE.
Oh,
And over there, they're making a name for themselves and doing like main eventing, and very, very popular. And when I got the opportunity, I was like, absolutely. And they're like, well, he only speaks Spanish, so we're going to bring in a translator. I'm like, no,
nice.
let's do it in Spanish. I'll figure it out.
That's so cool. Yeah, I was listening to it, and I watch The Ultimate Fighter, and I'll watch the subtitles in Spanish, and like luchador comes out so much because that means fighter, I think.
Right.
in Spanish.
It's like a mix of fighter and wrestler. It's weird.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, MMA, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
They have
all
wrestling in the background.
exactly. That is so fun. I find myself, everyone, welcome to the Robert Patton Global Podcast. I was just like, no segue, just like
Yeah,
go ahead and
that's
get
good.
that in here. I'm here with Eddy Torres from the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast. You just heard that. We're going to air all that most likely, but um, I find myself in a new lot in life where, you know, the business is going pretty well. I can work on myself and try to better myself. Oh, speaking of which, I need to clean up better. But I'm like looking over here and I'm trying to learn new languages, Spanish, which I already kind of have a pretty decent grasp of. So I'm using an app called Duolingo and I'm learning Spanish.
I was gonna say, do you have Duolingo? Because that thing is great.
Yeah, the plus plan. And I'm just working my way through there. I'm learning the piano with my wife. I mean, separately, but you know, we alternate. And all of these different kind of areas of the brain, working on those to better myself and ultimately make me a better podcaster, I think is what I want to be. I've always kind of wanted to be a radio talk show host type person because my dad, I don't know if we talked about that, but my dad, you know, would listen to talk radio in the car, AM. You probably have,
Mm.
because I used to live in Orange County and we had like it was like 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. radio, which is all like right wing stuff, but still very. It was awesome. I loved it, and you know, now I just listen to podcasts, but
Yeah.
they are some of my. It's just, and then you know, something I've wanted to do. What got you into podcasting?
Oh, you know, it's funny. I guess I would say Adam Carolla and Joe Rogan were the
Oh,
first two I
Hogan.
ever heard. You know,
Huh.
I remember
Joe
watching.
Rogan.
I remember watching Joe Rogan. It was just him and his. Yeah, nice. It was just him and Red Band on his couch, and they had like terrible special effects, like it was snowing while they
Mm-hmm.
were talking. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And but you know, I also growing up, my dad used to listen to a lot of talk radio. A lot. He always had the news running in the background
Yeah.
too. He always had like CNN or headline news or something. But the talk radio in the morning for in Jersey, it was like mostly just fast news, and it was like 10-10 wins or something like that. And they would just keep talking constantly. So it was kind of always in my brain. And then when
So
Rogan
you
and
were from Jersey then?
yeah, I was born in Jersey, um, lived there for about 14, 15 years, and then I moved to Miami
Oh
uh,
wow.
involuntarily. And and then Miami was supposed to be a temporary relocation kind of situation where like, oh, we'll just go hide out in Miami for a little bit while
Get away from the mafia and whatnot.
yeah, pretty much. My dad got arrested, and we were like, "Hey, time to go." And we moved to Miami, and it was, you know, maybe a couple years in. My family's like, "All right, we're going back to Jersey." I'm like, "Nope, too
Mm-mm.
late. I'm 18 now. I have a girlfriend. I have friends. I have a band. Like, not going with you guys." So I stayed in Miami. And even then, I was like, you know, we'll be here with the band, but you know, obviously the band needs to tour and like get out of here because Miami's really bad for local bands,
Why?
local
It seems
metal
like a lot of
bands.
party or okay.
Yeah,
Well,
local metal bands.
yeah,
Yeah, if you're
to
in
be
a rap
specific.
group or a salsa group or something like that,
Reggaeton, maybe.
reggaeton, you're set. But when you're in a rock or metal band, it's difficult. And a lot of the way certain local bands make it is usually when a bigger band comes into town, they'll need an opener,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like your opportunity. Like, oh shit, you know, we're gonna open up for this big tour. But Miami very rarely got tours. A lot of big national acts don't like to drive all the way down there. It's a long drive from the tip of Florida all the way down to the other tip. It's 8.5 hours, and you know, with gas and everything, people just don't like that distance, so they don't do
Mm-mm.
it. It's not worth it to them, especially because they also think of it as, oh, it's a Spanish hip hop driven party element. So you know, this death metal band from Norway is probably not going to sell a whole lot of tickets there.
Right.
But yeah, it was difficult. So in my mind, I was like, you know, we'll take off, we'll leave Miami in a couple years and tour and you know whatever. But no, that turned into about 20 something years of my life living in Miami. So I identify more as a Miami guy than a New Jersey guy.
So you what? But you're in LA now, right?
Now I'm in LA, and you know, maybe before I retire, I'll go to the other corner. I'll go to
I know,
Washington.
right? Be
Just
a
hit all the
hippie.
corners of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived
But
in Orange County, and I never really crossed what they call the Orange Curtain, I think.
Mm.
which is like into LA. It's like stay out of there.
I like Orange County, man. I go often. We go to
Mhm.
my wife and I go to Placentia.
Mhm.
Um, I have family out there, but also there's really great breweries out there. The brewery Torres is my wife's favorite place, so we go there, and then there's also it's just calmer. Like LA is a lot more fast paced and kind of like it's a big city. There's always stuff going on. There's people standing in lines for shoes, and we want to get away from that and just kind of like chill. And that's usually our destination, Orange County.
Yeah, I grew up in Huntington Beach, kind of. I mean, I started off in San Antonio, lived in Middle Georgia, then went to Orange County. So I'm kind of like you in a weird way. I did like a West Coast, East Coast thing,
Nice.
and it's nice. It's Newport Beach. They had that show, the OC, was made
Mm.
based off of that, and I mean, but I can't help but think of Santana Homes, because it's right there,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Little Saigon. We had a nice little mix, I guess, a diversity, if you will, in Orange County. Not a whole lot of the brothers, but everything
Gotcha.
else
Everything
was,
else is there.
yeah. And I grew up playing basketball, and I love that. Did you do any sports when you were a lad?
I did a lot actually. It was funny. So growing up, I did a lot of baseball because Cuban and also living in New Jersey, it was just kind of like default. That's what we're
Culture,
doing.
yeah.
And so I did a lot of baseball. Went into little league. I was really good at it too. It was weird, and I'm not. I'm not a very. I'm not. I'm not self-important. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Brag.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not bragging. It's just I was really good at baseball. My dad was into baseball. It was like a family thing. So,
Hell
um,
yeah.
we,
You could hit the ball. What position did you play?
I did first baseman for a while, and I asked to be moved to the outfield because I wanted to just chill more.
Yeah, first baseman's intense.
Yeah, I was like, I'm hurting myself. So put me out there, and it was funny because we did the little league thing, and I remember the tryouts for the draft that they had at the time. I did really well. Like the coach was like, "Holy shit!" When I threw the ball, it made that snap that they were like, "Oh my god!" And
Pop. Yeah.
you know, um, they really, they were like, "You are number one pick," and they ended up doing this weird move where they wanted to give the worst team in the league first pick so that they can stand a chance in the season.
Like the Clippers.
Yeah, so I ended up in the worst team.
Oh my god.
And I remember the coach. So the best team was the fire. It was sponsored by the fire department. So they had the cool red uniforms with and I remember the coach telling me like, "Man, you were going to be my guy until they gave them the first pick." I'm like, "Shit, could have been on the best team."
And then
But
you would have made it to the All-Stars and stuff, or did you anyways?
so no, I didn't make it to All Stars. I took the team to the finals, the worst team in the league to
Wow.
the finals.
And you didn't
To the,
make the All-Stars? What the hell? Anyways,
I,
I don't even know if they were doing that back then, but
No, no, I quit. I quit after that. After we went to the finals, we lost, but I took us all the way to the end. And when we lost, I was like, I'm done. This is not for me. I don't want this lifestyle. I'm not a baseball guy. And then throughout high school, I also did a lot of wrestling, like the
ooh,
Greco-Roman
wow.
wrestling.
Wow, that's intense. That's such I gave up after like 2 days of practice. I was
I
like,
so I started going to practices and then also just showing up when it wasn't even my classes. I would just show up and be there to wrestle with the guys, like just so that they had someone, to
spar with.
spar with.
Yeah, I love that.
And
I wish I regret it, but continue. I regret that I gave up, but I didn't know what I was missing out on, I think. Tell me more.
I mean, it depends, man. I mean, I've always had this aggressive, like I like physical, contact with people. I
Mhm.
like going to mosh pits in a metal show,
Nice.
that whole thing. So Uh, I just enjoyed it. And then I didn't really even officially join like tournaments for the wrestling team for high school. It was literally all just in the gym with the people working. And the coach would always be like, "Come on, let's put you into tournament." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm all right." And they kept trying to get me to join the football team too. They're like, "Do you have the size for football?" I'm like, I don't want brain damage."
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm already, it's already rough up there.
It's hard enough to
It's
get
hard
words out of
enough.
my mouth.
If I
Yeah.
start slamming my head into people, it's over. Um, so yeah, I did a lot of that growing up. But then right after high school is when I discovered drugs, and I dropped out of all sports. Uh,
I was a senior because I had gotten kicked out off my team, and that was really like a pivotal moment. Like, hey, maybe don't kick people off your team. If they quit, they quit. But like, if they really want to play and they got in some trouble, just because I broke into a couple places and got arrested a few times, like, anyways, maybe they did what they had to do. But
No, that's I agree with you. Like they should have kept you on. That's rehab. That's how you
yeah,
get. That's
talk
how
to
they
me.
keep you out
Like,
of trouble. You know, hey,
yeah.
instead of going and breaking into a place, get over here. Let's practice.
I
You
was
know.
actually breaking into a gym to play basketball. No shit, like that. And then what happened was we couldn't get into the gym, so we broke into the concession stand. There was an alarm. We fucking
Oh,
were stealing Skittles and Reese cups. Like I got arrested. It was like,
that's not real.
you
That's like
know,
petty stuff. You know,
it
petty
was so
theft they
petty.
call. Yeah.
Yeah, and that fucking ruined my whatever. Not my
Yeah.
life or anything, but
Yeah, I think you're doing okay now. But yeah, I also, I also just I played a lot of racquetball for a while. I used to love playing racquetball. That comes from my dad too, because he used to love racquetball. But um, and then also speaking of breaking into places, we would in Miami we would break into the park at night and play soccer. We would just
yeah.
bring like 20 dudes to play soccer out there, and we weren't like professionals or anything. It was just like, hey, let's two teams, let's try and score.
How fun. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing to if you can get 20 people to show up somewhere.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a difficult task these days.
But so you got into the drugas. I got into that a little bit. Which was it, powders or herbs
Well,
or everything?
I started with weed.
Yeah.
As they say, it's the gateway drug. No,
Like,
I don't believe it's a gateway drug at all. But no, I had a buddy in high school who was like, "Hey man, you want to try this?" I'm like, "Sure,
right.
I guess." Actually, you know what? I'll take it back. I mean, let me go back actually. So I did my first drug when I was about 13 years old. But it wasn't like on intentional thing. It wasn't like I want to do drugs. It was I went to a party. My parents took me to a house where they were dropping off all the kids so that the parents can go party for New Year's. So we had this giant house and
Wow.
all these young kids, and the supervisor was a 17-year-old girl. And I was at this party hanging out, and I was hanging out with the 17-year-old girl. I forget. I think her name was Wendy. I don't remember, but
Mindy, shout out.
shout out to Wendy. But she was like watching The Crow and like
Hmm.
smoking, and I was just like, "What's going on over here with you?" And she was like, "Here, have this," and gave me a little piece of paper with Beavis from Beavis and Butthead, Beavis's face on it.
Oh, acid. Eh.
And she's like, "Just eat that." I'm like, "Okay." And then it was just chaos. Like I just remember
Wow.
the walls moving and like crazy scenarios of like light flashes and trying to talk to her and like everything just melting. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? And so after that, I learned what had happened. I learned what I had done. And that's what opened when my friend said, "You want to try some weed?" I was like, "Sure. I've already done
How
acid."
well, how long so funnily, my brother gave me acid when I was 13, and
Nice.
I saw like I would close my eyes and like all these the Simpsons were like kind of like floating around in my mind or whatever. That's my recollection of the experience. It doesn't kick in sometimes super hard unless you hit a joint.
Mm.
You know how when you like if you take mushrooms and it's like you're waiting for it to kick in, you hit a joint and it's like that's when
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it happens. But so then because then like I think years later, like senior year, that's when it was reintroduced to me, and besides a couple other like two other times in between, just like one-offs. And then but then I got into it, and I think the reason it was the gateway drug, and I want to hear your story, but like it's because weed used to be so weak. Like
Mm.
you could get high for a while and then it would just like stop getting high and then you move on to other things. Now it's so strong. I don't really think you need anything stronger, personally.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, were you said it was after high school that you like got back into to that.
Yeah, I started. So when he's first, I remember the first time I smoked it, I didn't feel anything. I remember being disappointed because I was like, well, I already did acid and that was intense, and this is nothing. And so, next time I saw him, he's like, "You want to smoke?" I'm like, "Yep." I need to experience it. Like
Right.
it hasn't happened. And then when I remember the day we rolled a giant like blunt that he was like, "This is like, thick." I talked, I gave him shit. I'm like, "What are you giving me? I'm not like this isn't working." And so he made this giant blunt. We smoked that, and he took me to a car wash, one of those where you drive through car washes,
Mhm.
and he put on Radiohead, and it just
Nice.
kind of like, oh, wait a minute, this is crazy. And so from then on, I started, smoking pretty regularly, and then that led to meeting more people that had other drugs. Like, oh, have you tried cocaine? I'm like, oh, nah, I'm not
Mhm.
really in energy. Like, I get enough energy from coffee and just, life that I don't
Right.
really feel like I need cocaine. But I did it anyway, and then I fell into a deep hole with that for a bit because
Wow.
yeah, I
Me
was dating.
too. That's crazy. Go ahead though. I won't get into mine.
I was dating a girl. I was working at a. It was a bad time. I was homeless, so
Yeah.
I got a job working at a It was a food preparation. Like they made food. It was like a deli, but they also had vitamins and stuff. So I was working there making wraps, making hummus, making smoothies for people while homeless. And
Wow.
I met the
Where
girl. Huh?
okay.
No,
Where
this was.
would you sleep?
I would sleep on the beach. I would like
Wow.
find a spot. Like I woke up a couple times at Dunkin' Donuts because I would just go get a coffee and sit down and like just look for jobs in the newspaper.
Wow. You
And
were
then like
legit homeless.
yeah, and I
That's
would just
legit.
pass out, wake up, go to Walgreens, wash up in the sink, a little bit because I didn't want to be like I acknowledged that I was homeless, but I didn't want to be the crackhead homeless that you see here in LA. Like I wouldn't want to be dirty.
Right.
So I stayed
A
clean.
respectable homeless
Yeah, I
man.
wanted to get a job. I wanted to
Yeah,
get back to normal life.
for
So,
sure.
so and
Good.
to do that, you need to clean up and stay presentable, I guess.
Mm,
So anyway, I worked at this food place. I met the girl, and then eventually I started staying at her house.
nice.
We started dating, and I would stay at her house. And she used to do a lot of coke, and
Mm,
that's where it started becoming a problem. Like she also had this. It was weird. She had a dude, an old man that would pay her money so that she would go out and have dinner with him. And in my mind, obviously, the male brain was taking over. Like she's fucking him.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I told her straight up, I want to meet this guy.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel weird about it. Let me meet him.
Yeah, for sure.
So we went. He had a party and invited me out, and it was an old man in a wheelchair, dude. He couldn't. It wasn't working down there.
Oh,
So in my
okay.
brain, I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, for sure.
He
She's doing
needs
a solid.
company. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm all right. And so we became friends, the guy and I, and he would supply me with coke. He would give me
Wow.
giant bags like, here, this is for you and
Oh my.
Just for you and Carrie. I'm like, oh, okay. And it just became a real problem until I did it until the point where there was a night where we went out and we just stayed out for 3 nights. It was just boom, 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 and it was falling asleep, boom, another hit. And like,
Oh
hey,
my
there's an after
God.
party at this place, and in Miami, it's a party 24/7. There's always something going on, so we would just kept going and going and going, and then like 3 days in, I just remember waking up in the hospital, and I'm like, what happened?
Whoa.
And they're like, oh, you, you were having a rough one. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's when I stopped. I was like, I'm good.
Nice.
No more
How
cocaine.
long how long do you think that time frame was?
I was in the hole for about 6 months.
Yeah, me too. 6
Yeah.
months. I was in college. I started dealing and got arrested really quickly. Thankfully, I guess ultimately because I went from like 150 to 125 in weight. I was just turning into a piece of shit. It's
Mhm.
not like a good drug. It makes everything sound like it's a good idea. Hey, let's go rob this place.
Yeah, it does do that. Everything sounds
You're
great.
like, yeah, dude,
Yeah,
that's
party.
amazing. You're a fucking genius.
Yeah, yeah. start plotting bank robberies. That's when take a step back. Like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
are we doing a heist? What's
Right.
happening?
Oh my God. Let me take 1 second. Speaking of all these drugs, I want to do a plug because I don't want to edit this
Oh,
podcast because we want to release it faster. And so we're sponsored by ohanakavabar.com. It's kava is a root from the South Pacific. It makes you calm and happy. It is a ceremonial beverage. They do it kind of like for celebrations and whatnot. You say bula, and it's like an herbal Xanax, I call it. And I take this tincture. Actually, it's the tincture. It's a lot easier to take. I'll do it right now. As a matter of fact,
nice.
on
And
a
that's from the
plug. Hey,
same company, Kava Company.
ohanakavabar,
Kava Bar?
.com. Promo code SHEATH10 saves 10%. Have you ever tried kava?
So I've had the drink. There were Kava bars in Miami,
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
and they would sell it to you in a coconut
Mm-hmm.
shell.
Yeah.
And they would have music and whatever. They would give you warnings like, don't drink alcohol before coming, and
Mm-hmm.
don't do
Mm-hmm.
this and that. And we would go and just sit there and drink. It tasted awful.
So bad. It's horrible. That's why I like this. The tincture is
It
better.
tastes like dirt. That's what it. To me,
Yeah.
it's like mud water. I'm like,
It's
ugh.
like worse than dirt. I'd rather drink dirt.
Yeah, I remember going like the first sip I took. I looked at my friend. I'm like, what are you doing to me? Why is
Yeah.
this? Why are we doing this? This is terrible. But you chug it, and then yeah, you relax. It's a nice
Yeah.
feeling, you know.
It's a little,
Um,
yeah, super
uh,
chill.
but yeah, I have tried it. I think if they could figure out a way to make it not taste like dirt, like the tincture, then that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm
The
down to try that.
tincture is an extract, and they have this stuff he makes called the Kraken, and it's like 3 times as strong as kava. And dude, there's people that they love that shit.
Mm.
And I like the more just like, even when I smoke weed, I'm not like smoking a whole blunt. I'll take like 2 tokes or whatever. And if I'm drinking kava, I'll take a double. Don't give me a quad or 2 quads and shit. Just
You're not dabbing, bro.
no. I mean, I have obviously,
Yeah,
but I don't need a rig. I don't need the
that's
flamethrower.
way too much, man. That is way too much. I may, we may have talked about it when you were on our
No,
show,
I don't know. Tell me.
but I definitely like I've only dabbed like once in my
Mm-hmm.
life, and it was with one of those enormous rigs. And the guy, when he pitched it to me, it was just kind of like, "Hey, do you want to come smoke?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool, yeah, we'll smoke weed." And he whips out this thing with a blowtorch. I'm like, "What are we doing?"
I know.
No, this is too much. Like, I
It's like
feel
the
wrong.
heroin of weed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
heroin or crack, even. Like, I feel like I'm
Yeah,
doing crack.
crack. Yeah, a little bit. A
Yeah.
little bit. And
Yeah, he
and
shows it to me, and it's a little piece of, it's a rock, and I'm like, wait a minute, are you sure this isn't crack?
it's resin, it's
Yeah, yeah.
butter, it's shatter and all.
Wax.
Yeah.
Shatter. Yeah, I heard shatter. I don't know. That's too much work, man. I like the flower. I like the smoke element of it. It's very zen, kind of peaceful. It takes me back to the peace pipe situation, like it's just social. I love nothing more than to be in a circle of people sharing a joint or two and talking, and just it's so like it's ceremonial. It's nice.
Mhm.
It's peaceful. For
I
sure.
love that. And here we are. I smoked a tiny little bit. I was trying to do this. This isn't a plug, but I have this Cushy Dreams.
Oh yeah,
Have- and it's CBD, and it tastes, it looks, it's sticky. I like it.
nice.
But
I'm doing the CBD drink that I showed
okay.
you from last night from Kill Cliff,
Oh yeah,
and
Killcliff.
I also have I have a little pen that I use for when I'm doing podcasts, so I'm not lighting up a joint the whole time.
Right. Yes. You got to have a pen handy just in case for for traveling or whatever sometimes. I'm with you. We're on the same page. There we go. But this stuff, I hit it and I was like, I need a little bit extra.
Is that the
So I
cushy
took,
stuff that you're talking about?
yeah, the Cushy Dreams. And
Okay.
I buy, if you're trying to quit, or if you have to go in a state where it's illegal, I think CBD is legal in like most of the states. So I was in
Yeah.
Texas not long ago, and I was like, I'm not even gonna risk it. I just took the CBD shit, and it took the edge off, like a placebo type of a thing. Not sponsored, but I will. And you know what I think, and I'm thinking we're not even gonna really do that many more sponsors anymore, because I'm working with these guys, and I do some stuff for free, like Kratom. As like they're friends of mine, They're
Okay.
honestly just friends. And so
Yeah, I have a couple sponsors like that. I mean, like
yeah.
Saints Joints, they're not paid sponsors. They just, they send me weed. We talk all the time, and like this is great. This is a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
Uh, but by the way, speaking of CBD, like I recently discovered that in order for all these CBD drinks and all the CBD smoke and candies and all that, for it to like really hit you like how it's supposed to, you have to have some THC with it. It's what
Um,
activates the cannabinoids and makes it kind of, it's like a light switch that turns it on. So I recently discovered like if I need to use CBD, it still works obviously, but you would need large amounts unless you're triggering it with some THC.
nice. Okay, well that makes sense because I felt like I was like something's missing right now. I need to get, and I think it activates it somehow in your mind, like you said, when the cannabinoids. I'm not a doctor. Fucking
Yeah, neither am I. I just read that online.
ivermectin. Don't
Ah,
don't take ivermectin. I'm just kidding.
oof. Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I'm going back to we were talking about cocaine. I'm so glad I'm out of that world because I hear these stories now of these kids that they're doing what they think is cocaine and it's actually fentanyl and it's killing them.
Wow.
It's
That's
insane.
yeah.
A lot of rap artists, that's happening to young people that are in that, like, there's like a genre of rap called, like, I don't know. The guys are like Suicide Boys is one of the
Oh
guys, one of the
yeah.
groups, and
Yeah.
they're into fentanyl and all that shit. And like, let's do coke mixed with fentanyl. It's like, guys, stop. Like, I'm all for doing drugs,
Drug
guys,
use.
but that is killing people. You
There,
don't
when you're
want that.
young, yeah, that young like nothing can kill me attitude can
Right.
really be your downfall. Like, and I was so dumb. Like, what the fuck? You're taking coke, and I was
Yeah.
taking pills and mixing it in alcohol, and I
Oh yeah.
tried heroin, and I wasn't really. It was all like back to back to back. Like, what are we doing today? What are we doing today?
Mm.
Not like weeks in between to recover. It was just like a downward slide into a pit of just it was a cesspool.
So what got you out of that?
I mean, basically getting arrested really did a
Yeah.
number. I did 4 months in a Georgia detention center, I was with a bunch of big black dudes that did like I got along with some and some kind of picked on me and whatnot, but that wasn't even really like some of the white guys picked on me. Like it's whatever that what
Yeah.
I was in jail and everybody was
Was
a
this
fucking
after the army?
no before
Before the army?
it was like right after college. Like I got kicked out of college, or no, I withdrew, and then because I got arrested, and then I went and lived at home with my mom for a while. It took like a year for all this shit to happen. So I tried to join the military back then, like in the middle of it, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we're not touching you, weirdo." And so because I had pending cocaine charges, and
Right.
then got I, I did my time, got out, um, and then a few years passed. It wasn't no how many. Okay, so then that was in 99 2000. Then September 11th happened,
Mm.
and I still didn't join right away, but as the war like mounted and escalated, they started asking for more and more people to join, and they started taking anybody, and they were like, "Oh, you have a felony? No problem. Come on in."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's good though. I mean,
that's
at least it got you out, you
dude.
know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember I tasted it at once, like like years later. This guy, I was hanging out with this dude, and he had some, and I was like, I was like, I tasted it, and I was like, "Yep." I said, "That's Coke."
Yeah.
Like I'm good, and I never saw that. I didn't hang out with that guy ever again after that because I was just like, I'm not getting involved with this shit. And you're living in a basement, like at your cousin's house. This is not uh someone I want to hang out with. This podcast is about success and the trials and tribulations and overcoming adversity. And part of staying out of trouble and all, is hanging out with people who you admire and want to be like and you look up to. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, for
Like they
sure.
say the 5 people you hang out with the most is who you like kind of you kind of gain their characteristics and stuff. I'm not really saying it quite eloquently.
Well, there's a Cuban saying. I've said it before on my show, but it's an old Cuban saying. Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres, which is tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are.
Wow.
And it makes perfect sense
Yes.
to me because that's always been the case. You know, if
Yes.
I'm hanging out with a bunch of Cuban dudes, I'm gonna start talking more Cuban. I'm gonna start my
Mhm.
accent's gonna come back. I'm gonna start saying "I de que hola," like
Ora.
yeah, it comes back. So I've definitely always tried to surround myself with people that I want my life to be. This was after obviously falling into the hole of
Mhm.
chaos,
Mhm.
because I realized if you surround yourself with drug dealers, you end up becoming one. So I was like, I need to get out of this life, and let's find somebody who's doing something with their life. People that are successful at whatever they're doing, not just podcasters or comedians or musicians or whatever. If they're successful at what they're trying to do, that's the kind of people I want to talk to and be around because I'm trying to be successful in what I'm doing, you
Yeah,
know?
they're hustling. Not everybody can be an underwear mogul, so I can't really go out and hang out with other guys that are creating underwear companies, but other
Right.
businessmen I
Yeah.
hang out with. I have like my kava friend, he owns 2 kava bars. He just got online. That's why we're promoting it online. I have a dude who owns Elevation Hydration. Shout out to Corey. He does IVs, right?
Nice.
And dude, that is a booming business model. If you know a nurse that wants to transition over, it's like money in the bank. I'm telling you that
Really.
right there. Oh yeah.
I couldn't do it. I hate needles, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to like if you're putting an IV on me, it's because I'm dying.
I've done it like 5 or 6 times because I heard Rogan talk about it. I heard Gary Vee talking about it, and I was like, let me go see what the fucking deal is.
Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense that that's the way to go.
It's
Personally, I'm just like,
yeah. Just don't have a hangover. Hey, I got a solution. Drink water.
right.
Drink water.
I always have a
Exactly.
glass of water. This is something I learned being a beer professional. Like, whenever, mm, whenever I was selling beer, I was having, 5, 7, 8 beers a day because I was visiting accounts, and I would visit the bar, meet with the owner. Hey, man, I have all these beers, and I go, let's try them. Take little sips, little tiny sips. And I'm like, all right, that's not a big deal. But you do that 8 times in the day, and you're having a lot of beer. By the end of the day, you're
Yeah.
having full-sized beers. And the lesson I learned was like I need to be drinking water all day throughout the entire day, and just continually drinking it. When it runs out, refill, keep drinking. Like don't.
Yeah.
There's no pause. It's not like beer or a soda or an energy drink where you have one and then you don't have another one for a while. No, just all day drink water as it's going, and when it runs out, refill, drink more,
The
because it's
college
never enough.
kids, like the kids these days, they carry around these little thermosy looking majiggies I'm holding up right here. And it's 32 ounces. I drink 2 or 3 of these a day, at least one, for sure one.
Yeah.
And I try to keep that going and not to rain on my elevation hydration guys parade. If you're hungover, if you're at altitude, if you're there, a lot of people need it for medical necessity. He tells me a lot of stories about people that just have issues and it really helps them. And the first time I did it, it was awesome. Honestly,
Yeah.
I went home and I ran like 4 miles, but then I was like, well, I'm gonna fucking do this shit all the time. And then it stopped like having its kind of effect.
Mm. I was gonna say, does it? So where do they put it up here in
In
the top of
the
the hand,
main
in the main
line.
arm? Okay. See
Yeah.
that to me is the issue. I've had a couple IVs up here, and I'm okay with just
You can do it
turning.
there.
I
You
can
can
just
do it.
look away and let them
Yeah.
do it. Because it's just
Ugh.
something about the metal piercing the flesh. Because I also have tattoos, so people are like, how can you be afraid of needles? I'm like, it's different.
It
Because
is.
a tattoo gun is like a big device, and it's just kind of rubbing on you.
It's not penetrating.
Where when I see a piece of metal going through, like, and I see that in movies or horror movies or stuff like that, I'm like, "Ugh!" Like it's just,
Yeah.
I feel the pain inside of me, and maybe I'm just I'm just being a pussy. Like no, I'm not. I'm not. It just genuinely creates a physical reaction out of me every time I see it. It's just like a boom, like, "Ugh."
He
I hate
knows
it.
when I do it. I always like pull. I'm like, he's like, don't move. And I'm like, okay.
I also
I
I had a really bad experience with an IV once. I had my appendix burst and
Ouch.
I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. And you know, it was one of those deals where I was constantly hooked up to morphine because
Mm-hmm.
the pain, and I would just push a button, and the thing would release morphine.
Mm.
And and it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. The nurse came in to switch out my IV bag, and she missed
Ugh.
because I was asleep and I wasn't paying attention. So she missed, and then immediately, like once she left, immediately after, I'm like, this doesn't feel right, and I look over, and there was a
Oh
swelling
no.
on my arm, and
Oh
it
my
was just
god.
pumping IV liquid into underneath my skin. And
Oh my
I
god.
call the nurse. I'm like,
That's
hey, what's happening? And she comes back, pulls it out, and it just starts squirting.
oh my god. That is
It was
horrible.
just, I'm like, ooh. So I think maybe that has something to do with my hatred for
Adversity
me.
or whatever. Yeah. I
Yeah,
could see that. Oh my god. Yeah, I hate that. Um you know, you bring up you're the rock and roll beer guy. You like MMA, right?
I
Too?
love MMA. Yeah,
You like Nate Diaz?
Nate Diaz is the man.
Did you watch his last fight?
I did. Great
It,
fight. I was a little sad when that he lost, but you know, he had his moment. And you know, I get it. I get the Diaz mentality too, right? But you had him rocked. And then you
yeah.
pointed and laughed and did the little shimmy. I'm like, I get it. That's hilarious.
Uh,
But you could have won that fight, man.
he won a moral victory by
Yeah.
because if you're winning the fight at the end of the fight, like who really won the fight? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
But
like when I don't like it when it goes to judges for sure.
right. It was just funny because after the fight, and he had just been in a fight and he smokes a lot of weed, but he goes, "Oh, I'm sponsored by the Nelk Boys, and they just released this new drink, Happy Drink." He said Happy Drink, and it's
Happy
Happy Dad. And
happy dead.
I felt like a cringe for them because the Nelk Boys, they're super into the UFC, and I don't know if you know who they are.
No, I've never heard of it.
The Nelk Boys. So if you'd have to give them a goog. They're like these college frat kids that just made it big. They're full send. They do these uh, merch drops once a month, and they just kill. They have like millions of followers. They flew into Abu Dhabi and met with Dana White. Like
Damn.
that, they're making it, and he loves them. And he was wearing a Nelk Boys shirt. Anyways, they're sponsoring Nate Diaz. They just released this new drink, Happy Dad. It's called Happy Dad. Shout out. I haven't tried it. It's a seltzer. It's kind of like what's that seltzer?
Like White Claw?
White, exactly. It's like
Okay.
a white claw. And he said happy drink. I couldn't help. It was so funny.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's just got punched in the face a lot. I think
He tried to shout him out. He really
I give
really
him
did.
props for even trying, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that he was like smoking a joint at the press conference
Yeah, he's so
before the
cool.
fight. I'm like, jeez, man, that's the way to do it. Fuck him. I love Nate Diaz. I love MMA too. I mean, I did jujitsu for a while. Um, Not enough.
Me
I
either.
wish I'd do more.
We should
Um,
spar. If you were closer, we could spar. I mean,
uh,
I just want, I'm gonna put an ad out, honestly, because I live in the middle of nowhere. I like kind of in the mountains, and I'm gonna put an ad out for like a sparring partner to come to
Open
my
a gym,
house.
dude. That's the
I know there's no gym in my city. I might, and
yeah.
I that's a,
Open a
I'm
Sheath underwear gym at in your city.
hell yeah. I might do that honestly, just so that I can have somewhere to go train because the closest gym is like 45 minutes away, and I'm just like,
That's a drive. That's
yeah,
a drive to go to the gym for sure.
yeah,
I'm thankful I have a gym in the building. I could just go downstairs. But even so, like lately, I'm not so much doing weights or anything like that. I'm more just movement and like yoga stretches and
nice,
trying to stay limber. Because if I do a lot of weights, which is what I've discovered, I end up getting injured. Like
interesting.
my elbows get all messed up, or my
Because of the
knees.
repetitive
Yeah,
thing.
the repetitive movement. My
There's
knees.
a have you heard of the I want to shout out my boy Leo Savage. He does this mace. It's like a steel mace,
Mm,
and it's like a primal,
the one that you
it's
go
like a
over your head.
yeah, he
Yeah,
swings them around.
Turkish
And
clubs is where that started.
those are the clubs. So there's
Yeah,
clubs, and then there's the mace. The mace is more of like a long, and it has like a ball, and
with a tip. Yeah,
yeah, and you know of On It.
yeah.
And
You
so
sell
it's like
those now?
No, but I have them,
Okay.
and I'm a consumer, and I use it, and it's just a more of a kind of, it's like a full body fun way to work out rather than, and it's like not that much repetitive motion because it's kind of like you're doing Tai Chi with
Mm-hmm.
this 10-pound weight. It's 10 pounds, but
Yeah.
when you're swinging it, it kind of gets heavier with the leverage and stuff. And
Well, it's like the old beer game where like hold the beer mug out
yes,
and you're like this is nothing, and then 5 minutes in you're like oh
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
it's intense. I'm always afraid to do the clubs or the mace because if I feel like I'm gonna smack myself in the forehead because I'm kind of clumsy. So
Yeah.
I feel like in one of those swings I'm just gonna go dunk and like
They
fall
teach,
back.
yeah, that they teach classes, and I like went to a few of them, and so I guess I feel more comfortable with it. You'd have to go to one of his seminars, and so, or I'm sure he comes, he travels and does that. But anyways, that's as an aside. I think that's just I try to stay fit, fitness, health, working out as long as you're doing yoga,
Yeah,
like have you ever tried Tai Chi?
I have. I only
I,
successfully did it once. Yeah, I've only
I like
successfully
it.
done it once because I've done it and I've tried to do it and
Yeah.
I don't get in the right mindset, so it ends up just feeling I feel cheesy, like oh,
Mhm.
what am I doing? I am not a martial artist,
I'm a
and
ninja.
but I've done it once where when I was doing a lot of meditation and it did trigger the movements worked. I was like oh okay I get it.
Yeah, it is kind of meditative. Speaking
Yeah.
of meditation, so you meditate
I haven't in a
in a
while
while?
because I've been real busy, but it is something that I enjoy doing and something that I tell people to do a lot. And I've broke it down in a way to explain it to certain people that don't get it that I think makes sense. And you tell me if this makes sense to you. So when you go to the gym, right, you're doing like bicep curls, right? You do a bunch of them. The next day you're hurting, right?
Hmm.
And it's kind of sore. And the best way for your muscle to heal and grow is by resting. You rest your muscles, you go to sleep, you hydrate, and you wake up the next day and the tissue is growing. For your mind, that never happens because when you're up all day, your mind's working, and then when you go to bed at night, you're dreaming and your mind's still going.
Yeah.
Your body's resting, but that mind is going. So think about your whole life for people that have never meditated. Let's say you're 30 years old. You've spent 30 years doing bicep curls with never going to sleep. That's why people say you only use 10% of your brain. I feel that that's what that is. Like your brain is just like this tight thing that's
Yes.
never healed. You've never had a moment to relax and sleep and let it rest and let it grow. That's what meditation does. I think
Wow.
it's necessary.
I like that analysis. I think that's a good metaphorical comparison. Because when I do meditate, and I typically do every morning because I don't sleep well. Although last night, I don't know, I'll tell the story. I know this is a podcast about you, but I talk a lot. And so because I sleep like shit, and I mean I get up like 8 times a night and I'll do like the midnight snack like 8 times. I'll smoke weed like 4 of those times, blah blah blah. I could show you my chart. I have a chart, like my bed tracks. It's fucking crazy. Anyways, so every morning, I heard Tom Papa, the comedian, on Joe Rogan say this, and he's like, if I ever get a bad night's sleep, I know it's okay because I can meditate in the morning. And he does transcendental meditation, TM.
Mm,
Jerry Seinfeld does it. It's a huge thing. I know how to do it too, and I like that. Um, but what I've been doing more like guided meditations recently through this app called Mesmerize, which I
okay.
love. It's so good. I highly recommend it. The hypnosis uh ones, you can get it's just easier. You can get so much deeper with guided meditation for me than
Mm,
when I try to do it myself, because she'll be like, I'm going to count down to 10, and you're getting deeper and deeper, and then I want you to imagine yourself 10 times deeper, and you're like walking down a staircase in your mind. And so I can do it in like 10 minutes, and the brain is like, I feel like pulsing.
mm,
And to me, that's when I'm in that state. But last night, so it has a sleep meditation. It was like 2 a.m. My wife still hadn't come to bed. She like comes to bed late, but I went to bed at like 10 and I'm still trying to sleep. 4 hours later, I had already gotten up like 3 times. So finally I put on this thing and she did me a little lullaby to sleep. And I slept from like 2 to 6 or 7, which is pretty fucking solid, like straight through. I didn't get out of bed again. So I'm
Mm.
going to try that again. Like I'm feeling like, see, I'm talking a lot. I'm like on
Yeah.
cook.
No, it works. If it's
Yeah.
working, that's good. That's a good thing. It's like I said, my sink just made a weird noise.
Oh,
Your brain doesn't get to rest at all unless you're
mhm,
meditating, man. Unless you're
yeah.
doing that, there's no rest. It's always
Mm.
going, and it's so important. It's so important to let your brain rest and grow because I think that's where anxiety comes from. I think that's where a lot of depression comes from. Is your brain's just tired. Your brain is very exhausted and hurt. So
And that's well, and also that's where like irritations come in, like you're tired. Somebody says something that's, you might have more patience for if you were more rested or
yeah, there's
so.
stress
Yeah.
levels go up.
Yeah.
Those stress levels affect things like, even skin rashes people get, like,
Yeah.
stress hives and stuff. Allergies to food,
Relationships.
relationships, everything.
Yeah.
It's all affected by it. It's nuts. And people don't really, there isn't really like there is a good movement for healthy eating. You look at places like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or farmers markets, there's the vegan movement, everything like
What do
that,
you
but
think
there
about
isn't.
Trader Joe's, Trader Jose? Do
Trader
you like,
Jose.
do you say,
Occasionally.
I mean, because there's like some controversies, like they they're getting canceled because of Trader Jose or something. They have to
Really?
take that off. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, take it easy.
No, man. No.
Yeah,
Look, as a Latino, that's fine with me. Trader Jose is great. Come on.
have a fucking sense of humor or whatever. Like, I don't
Goodness.
know. I don't know.
It's
Sorry.
rough. No, yeah, we're definitely in a weird time where
Soy
I don't
Latino.
soy Latino.
Relax. It's all
I'm
good.
okay with it. Like, don't
Yeah,
cancel things for me. That was the thing that
please.
I've been hearing a lot of, like the Latin X thing, and it's usually just white people.
I
Like,
know.
shut up.
Stay in your lane, lady.
That's my thing. You deal with your thing. Like,
It's
leave me.
all the ladies, and then there's some guys, but they're there because of the ladies, and it's just like, you're all embarrassing me. Please just shut your fucking mouths.
It's sad, man. It's sad. And I don't want to be one of those guys either. Like my wife was telling me that I seem a little more aggressive. I'm like, I'm trying not to be the douche bro and like or call people snowflakes and all that, but like just stop. Just
Yeah,
stop. Like
yeah,
you're
it's over.
ruining everything.
Trump's
You're,
out.
yeah, relax.
Everything can go back. We can make fun of each other and make fun of ourselves, and it shouldn't turn to bloodshed. Let's
Yeah.
just. It's
That's
supposed
where
to
we
be
got.
funny.
That's what Trump did. That's where he
Yeah.
put us, where
Uh-huh.
everyone's on edge, everyone's ready to attack. It's like, no,
I know, and now like that's why I was so relieved when he lost, because it's like, okay, can we chill now? And I feel like it's gotten. I know for me, I don't watch the news hardly at all anymore. I've been watching the Queen of the South. I'm watching the Ultimate Fighter. I'm watching, I'm binging whatever.
yeah,
So it's been nice to I still get my news from podcasts and stuff, but
yeah.
it's
It's
just not.
definitely the times are, at least for me too. Like I was waking up every day checking the news because I
Yeah.
was worried we were going to war. I was like, any day now we're gonna wake up like, oh well, there it is. The
Dude, I talked to my
world's
neighbor.
over.
Dude, I had a reverend, a black neighbor, Jaden, whatever, I forget his last name at the moment, but he had a wife and 3 kids, and we're neighbors, right? And he's black, and like um in Trump's in office, and he was clearly shaken by that, and we were talking about it, and he was like, dude, he's like, I'm scared that he's gonna snap his fingers and then white people are just going to start killing us. And I was like, what? Like, that's fucked up. I don't want anyone to ever feel that way, like,
Hmm.
so and just because a lot of people thought he was funny, and you can say there were instances where he was funny or not funny, but regardless, if he's funny or not. If people are scared for their lives,
Yeah, by
it
his
was just
presence.
yes, and he didn't
Yeah.
do anything to make to make them feel better. So, and I wish
And when people tried, he wouldn't do it. Like
yeah,
I remember watching that debate thing. Like I'm not a political person, but I was watching a clip from the debate, and where they were like, "Hey, do you like say no,
renounce,
say
yeah,
renounce, white supremacy?" And he just didn't answer. I was like, ah,
right.
oh my god, what are you
Just do
doing?
it. Yeah.
Just fucking say it. Just
Yeah,
fucking.
say it 1,000 times if you have to or whatever, right? I think he was like, "I already said it," or whatever, but just like say if you have
Yeah,
whatever.
say it again. Do you
Say it
not
a
believe
million
it?
times.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
it's nuts. I've never felt I've never felt racism until he was in office. Like
Wow.
I've seen it. I grew up in Jersey around a bunch of Italians, and I would get called spick all the time. I got into fist fights. That's probably why I'm so violent. I like wrestling and all that because I would get into fist fights with people for
Yeah,
calling me a spick
that's
or something.
so disgusting, and I
Yeah,
that's the kind of racism that should be actively
taking.
anti-racist against,
Yeah.
like, if you like but there's a joke about whatever, and I can't think of one, like white people have small wieners or something, right? Like, we can make fun of ourselves, but then there's like you F and N word, like go
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to
yeah.
where you came from, and it's like,
Yeah, there's
whoa,
a fine
bro.
line between roasting and offending. You got to
Yeah,
figure out the balance of that line. But
yeah,
I remember I had that racism when I was young, dealing with the Italians and getting into fights about it. But throughout my adult life, I was kind of free of it. And then when I was living here, it was actually in Manhattan Beach, California, and Trump had become president, and I was selling beer, and I remember walking around with my backpack. I had beer samples in my backpack, and a car drives by, and he just yells out, "Go back to Mexico!" And I was like, I'm not even Mexican, dude.
you piece of shit. What a fucking piece of shit. That makes me sick, dude.
Yeah,
Mexicans are like the best of the like, I will Mexicans are like the best. They're the hardest working, the nicest,
best food.
like, like,
Yeah,
what do they
it's
do
a.
wrong? Like, what do
eh,
they everyone has gangsters. Like, get the
what did they do
fuck out
wrong?
of
There's a
here.
South Park episode about it. They took our gerbs, the jobs that you didn't want to do in the first
No,
place.
yeah,
Nope.
no, and you know what? You know what America could use right now? A bunch of fucking Mexicans, because there's a bunch of people that don't want to work, and I would love for fucking open borders to happen right now, because
Oh,
I
dude.
can't, like, I'm trying to get people to work and help around my house. I'm paying this little white kid, he's 14 years old. I'm paying him $20 an hour because we put out an ad to get help, and like, it's like, nah, we're good, we're on that government subsidy, boy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's it's like, is that over yet, or do you even know like what's happening?
It's July. It's July. I think we're July 15th is when the benefits, the unemployment benefits stop happening. I don't really know. I haven't really kept track of it because, I had a bunch of friends hit me up when that started happening. Like, oh, you should quit your job and get on unemployment. I'm like, no, you're insane. What? I have a job with health benefits, and I'm not leaving that for a temporary vacation. You know what I mean? Just because you're getting a check, and yeah, they were making more money than me, being unemployed. That's fine.
It's
I'm not angry about it.
right. That's fine. Sure. Fair
Enjoy it,
enough.
dude. You're crazy though, because honestly,
Karma.
when that runs out,
Hmm.
and also who's paying for that? Like, where's that money coming from? It's coming from my money because I'm paying taxes.
Yeah, they're like participating in the downfall of the dollar,
Yeah.
by taking it. And I get it. And a lot of my friends took the PPE loan, and I was halfway through the application, and I was just like, I'm not doing
Like,
this.
if you
I don't,
really need it, then
yeah,
sure, yeah, take it. But
yeah.
there's people doing it just out of laziness, and it's not cool. That's just messing it up for everyone.
Okay, so the 15th. Yeah, I don't
Maybe
want
I'm making that. I might be
to.
making that date up.
Well, it's
I might be
around
making
there.
that up. It's around there. I think there was a date that
Uh,
they put out that the benefits would stop, and I think that's when people are going to start freaking out. Like, oh wait, I need to get a job again. Like, I'm glad I didn't quit and jump into that world of unemployment because it was rough. Some people, I had friends in the music industry where that was their only choice because
yeah.
they're touring musicians or touring roadies, people that do stage production, stage hands, backline, all that stuff, bartenders. Everybody got screwed during that time because there was no jobs. There's no work for the thing you do. So
Yeah.
unemployment there makes sense for me. Some of them got extra jobs. Like I had a buddy of mine who does stagehand stuff or backline stuff, and he started working for Amazon for a bit because it's like, hey, I need to make money. I have bills to pay.
Yeah. Oh man, I had something there like the government just giving all that money out. I think they the heart was in the right place, I guess, right? But then they
You mean
just
like the
gave it to
stimulus,
everyone.
the
Yeah,
stimulus
like
checks? Yeah.
it should have been a little bit more like discriminatory of like
Oh, there
who
should have been
gets.
a better system for sure.
Yeah.
Because let me breaking news. My father, who doesn't live in this country,
Oh
who
my
is
God.
also a deportee, he can't come here. If he comes to the United States, they send him back to Cuba. That's his current status, and he got all of the stimulus
Good
checks.
for him. Well, fuck yeah. Good. Fucking at least he got, at least somebody got it that
He
I
got
would.
all of the stimuluses. I'm like, dude, you don't even live here. What do you mean?
Oh, dude, that's
I
hilarious.
was like, dude, it pissed me off. I'm glad I got mine too because I'm here. But also like when it pissed me off when I heard he got one. I'm like good for you, because you got
I mean,
money.
I'm
But
joking, but
but
like,
but Jesus, this system is so messed
well,
up.
that's okay. So I mean, I don't, I, I'm a libertarian, and I don't,
Okay.
and like, so I'm trying to reduce the size of the government because of the like, people will say like, yeah, but this is fucked up, but this is fucked up. I'm like, okay, so you think the government is going to fix it?
No,
Really?
no,
Yeah. I mean, so the answer is not, all I'm saying is the answer is not more government. In my opinion, like what that true answer is, I know that's what it's not.
you're right.
It's like a bigger government. Like, come on,
Yeah, yeah.
let's take it down, everyone. And I mean, my boy Dave Smith, shout out Dave Smith. He he's the head of he's gonna be probably the libertarian candidate in 2024. So
Okay.
I'll be voting for him most likely. He's been on Rogan. You know who that
Yeah,
is?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Love him. And he wears sheath. So if he's president, then the president will be wearing sheath, and that's
Hell
good for
yeah.
publicity. What kind of underwear do you wear? Remember they asked Bill Clinton.
Sheath Underwear. Use my promo code president and save 20%. No,
Yes.
yeah, promo code POTUS.
POTUS. Yes, dude. I That's 4 years from now. And anything can happen with the options we have out there. It's like,
I'm curious to see what happens next year. I think not next year.
oh,
Sorry, next election. I think Dwayne the Rock Johnson's gonna run sometime soon.
wow, he's cool.
I think he's gonna
I
run.
I think he's nice. I think I like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I think,
I like his work ethic.
yeah, his attitude is spot on. He's always
I like
pretty
his eyebrow.
the people's champion.
People's
The people's
eyebrow. Can I do
Yeah,
it?
the people's
No.
elbow. Maybe, and he maybe needs to drop some elbows on some of the people in Washington.
He would be the most jacked president we've had. I would say. You'd have to get custom suits for the giant arms.
Dude,
I'd be okay with The Rock as the president for 4 years, just for fun.
I mean,
Yeah.
Biden's the president. What is he really doing? Like, let's put fucking, it can be anybody. I was getting like
If we
Louis
had if we
C.K.
yeah, oh God. If we had Trump, we can have anybody at this point.
Exactly.
That's what
And as long as they're not like preaching hate and stuff, and that's debatable amongst many people, and we won't get into that, but like, what the deal is, and he just didn't do enough to not,
balance
like,
out the hate.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you could have, yeah. And I know, and I could devil's avocado both sides all day, because of like the jail thing. There was something about jail, getting people out of jail or something, and blah blah blah. And you could talk shit about Biden and how all the crime bill stuff he did back in the day, and now, but
Well,
he's not preaching hate. right?
Exactly. He's not
Yeah.
preaching hate. That's and you know, you can say that Trump wasn't, but he definitely was. There was
Yeah.
a lot of aggression in his
Especially at the
speech.
beginning, and you know, and he just never could walk it back to a point that was satisfactory,
Yeah.
obviously, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's what he say about Mexicans? He's like, but some of them are good, or something like
Some of
that.
them are good. Yeah,
I think
okay.
it's the other way around. Like most of them are good and some of them are bad. I think that, but that's neither.
It's all how you use your words, man, and a lot of people don't understand that. And
Right.
it's all delivery. Like you can have a joke written on paper and you know, the way two different people say the joke, it'll sound completely different. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about delivery. It's all about timing and what are you saying and how are you saying it. That's one of the reasons I love Japanese language so much. I'm obsessed with Japanese language. I took Japanese classes in high school. I work for a Japanese company.
Nice.
Um, there's just a different when they speak. There's way more emotion behind what they're saying, and there's different ways that they can say words that we don't use in English that it gives you a better understanding of what they're trying to say as opposed to like when I'm trying to speak English, I'm struggling with how am I going to get this out without offending you.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, because you can be interpreted. There's so many
Yeah,
ways to interpret things. Like the same word can mean, 50 different, have 10 different meanings. No
yeah,
cap. No
yeah,
cap.
yeah. No cap. I'm too old for no cap. I don't know what that means. I see it
No,
on the internet all the time, and I'm like,
exactly.
should I Google this? And then I'm like, no, that's even older.
My understanding is that it means no lie, and
No lie.
I thought it meant no ceiling. And
Yes, that
because this
makes
guy was
sense.
commenting on our post. Here's how old I am. Okay, this guy, Yeti Hood. He's a guy he's out in LA. I don't. He's a physical fitness trainer in LA. You should maybe
Okay.
get with him. Yeti Hood. Follow him on Instagram. He keeps commenting on our posts. No cap, no cap, and he's doing the no hat. No cap. There's the
Is he
emoji.
trying to tell you that you don't have any sheath hats in your memorial?
I sent him a hat. I'm like, I need to send you a hat. I was
I
like,
have
you don't
no
have a
cap.
hat?
Send me one.
That's it. And I told my team to send him one.
Oh shit.
We sent him one, and he kept posting no cap. And I was like, my team didn't send you a hat. What the fuck?
Yeah. I told him to send you a cap. What happened?
And then he didn't fully explain it to me, but then I heard it on Rogan, and it's no
No
lie, no
No
lie,
lie.
and that
No
makes no
lies
sense.
no lies detected here. Yeah, I
But
saw that
how do
one
you
for a bit.
get cap how do you get lie out of cap?
I don't
Cap
know.
lies on your head.
Cubans are the masters of coming up with weird saying a word and having it have a completely different meaning. Like I remember in high school growing up around the Cubans, they would say certain words. Like we would be watching a movie and they'll be like, "Eso está por ahí," and I'm like, "What does that mean?" That when you translate por ahí, what that means is that way. And I'm
It's
like,
that way.
"It's that way. What are you talking about?" And they're like, "No, that means, it's good." I'm like, "Why? Why not just say it's good? Like,
Uh,
why are you coming up with these words?" Like, they would say "Eso está pescado," which means that's fish. And I'm like, "What are you talking about? So it smells bad, or is it delicious?" And they're like, "No, it just means it's really cool." I'm like, "Stop!
it's just
Stop!
cool. Okay.
Stop saying that! Like, just say it's cool. Like, why is it fish? Like, I don't get it."
Do you know
But
what poha means?
poha,
Poha.
I know baja means jerking off.
Well, poha means come
Oh,
in
okay, close.
Brazil, in Portuguese. It was pretty close
Yeah.
because all the fighters, but they'll use it. It's like they'll be like poha when they win. I know
Okay.
Gilbert Burns did that, and they just do that a lot. And it's our kind of like, I don't know. It's like fuck or fucking a, like fucking a, like,
Yeah.
but like we used to say something like that, like right on,
Right on.
right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Poha. I don't know.
I like
So
it.
yeah, I like it too, but I
Yeah, because
can't use it. I can't really use it. If I start saying poha all the time, they're gonna be like, "You're losing it."
stop it. Yeah.
Please stop.
Please stop using.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
trying. I mean, so I've been, but I'm watching all these Mexican kind of, because I'm trying to learn Spanish, and I'm watching a lot of Mexican TV and stuff, and but I'm doing it at home, like I'm talking to myself in Spanish, and I'm like cabrón and órale and pinche güero. That's
Pinche
one.
güero.
Okay, so that's interesting, right? Güero means white boy, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I don't care.
It's
But
not. I
and
mean, it's a slur, but it's not. It's
yeah,
it's fine.
it
Like
is fine.
there's a pro wrestling a lady who's part Mexican but also part white, and they call her La Güera Loca, so the crazy white girl.
I like it.
And it's like, it's supposed to be a slur, but it
La
sounds
vida
cool.
loca,
Yeah,
like what?
it sounds good, marketable. That's
And
a
I
that's a
always,
T-shirt.
I mean, as long, yeah, just so anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
but my point in saying that, I guess, is that this type of not discrimination, but just you're like white boy, Mexican, black, Asian. Like if you're calling it, unless you're saying it's bad, I like all these different cultures. I love black culture and Mexican culture and Asian culture. Like, what is white culture? It's a mix of all of those three, I think. And
Mostly European
hamburgers.
and mixture. Like that's usually what it is. It's the white Europeans that picked up different cultures along the way and then brought them to America.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
I love it all. I love the melting pot aspect. I just, I wish it could just be all love, and maybe it will one day be that way if we can like legalize mushrooms. And
It's starting to happen, man. They just passed SB 519 in California, which legalizes
nice.
and
Decriminal.
decriminalizes decriminalizes psychedelics for
Hell
medicinal
yeah.
purposes. So we're getting there. We're definitely getting there.
Right on. I know in Denver it also is like that. So, and I'm not,
Denver, Oregon, Oregon also has it legalized. So
yeah.
little by little, man, that's how it started with weed, right? It was
Mhm.
those states were the ones that started legalizing weed, and then now it's more in more states, and hopefully eventually all across the board. And then psychedelics, shortly after. And I do think that psychedelics, while they should be legal, there should be spots. There
Yeah,
should
I
be
like
places.
spots.
There should be a place that you go to do mushrooms. Like
Yeah.
go to the mushroom cafe, and then it's all set up for you to have a good time because you can have a bad time on psychedelics if you're in the wrong situation or around the wrong people
Or if you don't have the training,
or the
it's like,
training, right?
just FYI,
This
let
is what's gonna
go.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let go and let what, let it teach you. But if you fight it, that's when you
Hmm.
have a bad time.
Because I remember the first time I took mushrooms, I felt poisoned.
Oh yeah, me too.
I was like, "Oh no, get it out of me!" And I threw up. I felt like I was poisoning
We're like the
myself.
same, dude. But it took a while. See, I didn't know what I was getting into. They blended it in some orange juice. I
Mm,
drank it. I'm seeing shit. It's cool. It was fine for like half an hour, an hour, but and it's just, maybe it started getting so intense, and I was like, I want this to be done. I need it to be done. I went and drank milk to try to throw up. I did not throw up, but you threw
mm.
up.
Yeah, I threw up,
Oh wow.
which made me trip harder.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like I was having a trip, things were kind of fuzzy and things were a little brighter and everything, but once I threw up, that's when it kicked in. I was like, "Oh." And it's funny when you do a lot of shrooms or something like that, the day after when you go to the bathroom to poop, it's in your stomach. So you're processing
Yeah,
it again and I'll sit there like looking at the floor and it's just moving a little bit. I'm like, "Ooh,
I feel like you're
after
right,
effects."
especially if you eat a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's funny that you say that. I've done it so many times now that I don't know, I'm kind of used to it. But
Yeah. It's kind of like aftershocks, like in an earthquake. It's just
hmm,
we already had the earthquake, but ooh, there's a little rumble.
it's
Oh,
good. It's good stuff. I recommend it, but only like I would, like when I did it, and probably when you did it when we were kids, we didn't have any kind of ceremony to it, intentions. And maybe correct me if I'm wrong, you might have, but like you took it and went to a party or
mm,
whatever.
yeah, pretty much.
Now I don't. I sit right in that chair back there, and or like in a, I keep it super chill. I'll get in my sauna, take a bath, and like look out my window at the mountains and stuff. But it's all internal. I do it
Yeah.
all for this to grow, and so it's cool. It's not for everybody though.
No, absolutely not. Neither,
Yeah,
but that's for everything.
yeah, yeah.
Veganism isn't for everyone.
The
I
vaccine.
hate to
Oh
break it to
well,
you. Yeah,
just
the
kidding.
vaccine, right? Yeah, but it's everything is not for everyone.
But
Like,
if enough people took mushrooms till we got herd immunity for the hate,
yeah, that would be
boom.
nice.
I
That would be
just
nice.
That's I think That's an answer, maybe not the answer. I'm sure it won't be like a utopia, so there'll be some other problem. But
We won't. We will. That will never work. In our society, it will never work. We always need to have the balance here in order for this to work. There always needs to be, you know, a little bit of darkness in the light. It's the yin yang.
I think you're right.
You know, it can't
It's
be
all
like pure hate, obviously,
no.
but it also can't be pure happiness because it's just unbalanced.
Well, there's like these stories of these societies that lived, I mean, like in early America, and you had they were like hippies and it was all love and everything was all good. But then you had the Puritans, and the Puritans were like, you can't live like that. And they killed them all. So there you go. And that was Jesus talking. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
it was
But
Jesus bringing balance to the universe. He's
yeah,
Thanos.
yeah. So it's like you have to have, if you're going to be a peace, love hippie, you bet you need to be like a Tibetan monk ninja on top of it with the weapons and an army, and then be peace and love. And
Yeah.
so balance.
Be ready to defend yourself, but don't go out and attack people.
Yeah,
There's the
that's it.
difference.
I
I
love
try to tell
that.
that to people, like, I love fighting, I love MMA, I like to train and be ready for combat. Just make yourself hard to kill. That's
Yeah,
it. That's all you
yeah.
got to do. Don't be soft and let people step on you. If somebody, I'm all peace and love, and everybody's welcome in my house, and I'll feed you, and you have a place to crash. But the second you turn, I'm taking you down. You're not taking my house. Like,
Yeah,
that's
we'll fight. I'm ready to
yeah,
fight.
yeah,
I've always fought back,
yeah.
and it's just in my nature. Luckily, I don't have to fight back as an adult. I don't think I've gotten in a fight as an adult. Yeah, one time at a basketball court. But it's one of those. He elbowed me, and then I pushed him, and then it got ugly. But that one, that was ugly because I was all alone, and I didn't think he was gonna punch me, and he punched me, and it hurt. It hurt. That was probably the hardest punch I'd ever been hit with. It was like he hit me, and it was just like I
Mm.
heard like the liquid in my brain, and I was just like, okay. So I have to. I kind of like acted. I think I acted like I was gonna fight back, but it was like he had like 4 friends with him, and they kind of did me a favor and kind of breaking it up, I think. And so
Mm.
yeah, we just
Hold me back.
now, yeah,
Hold
hold
me
me back.
back.
I think we ended up we kept playing, and then we finished the game, and I think we played another game, and it didn't escalate.
Yeah.
But it that shit happens.
You
With
can
friends.
also make really good friends after you fight someone.
Exactly.
That's happened to me where, like, I got in a fight with in middle school. This tall ass. I remember he was Polish, and he said something, and he took a swing at me, and I ducked because he was taller than me. So he threw a punch, and I just went like this, and it went over my head, and I just uppercut and knocked him
Nice.
out.
Woo.
And immediately he, like, when he came to, he was like, "Good job, man." And we hugged it out, and like we became friends. I was like,
That's
"Whoa,
so
okay,
cool.
all right." I was like, I wasn't expecting that, and that was my first lesson of, like, you earn that mutual respect when you're when you're in a battle like that. Like, and I know it's super cliche to say it, but like the Fight Club line, Chuck Palahniuk had it down. The whole, how much can you really know about yourself if you've never been in a fight?
Dude,
You know,
seriously. Yeah,
it's
and that's I
true.
love. Well, God, I swear we're the same. I fought Derek Lowe at the Byron baseball park in when I was in middle school, and he was just trying to punk me, and I didn't back down, and it was like a tie, like neither one of us won, but then we got up, hugged it out, and we're friends on Facebook to this day.
Yeah,
So
it's
it,
mutual respect. Yeah,
fighting like should be more promoted, like as a solution sometimes, maybe even with
yeah.
kids, as long as it's controlled. There's no weapons, there's no guns.
Give the kids a couple of gloves,
Yeah,
pairs of gloves. Let them settle it out in the ring. Yeah, no guns or knives, no weapons.
yeah.
Just let them punch each other for a bit, and obviously have someone there to stop it if it looks like it's getting weird. Like
One-sided,
someone's
yeah.
getting choked out, and let it, stop it. But yeah, you hear that a lot with, like, violence is not the answer. It's like, yeah, I agree to a certain extent. I
Yeah, to
think
a
I think
certain
I think a little bit of a couple punches here that will settle you. Like, here's an example. So that's what I don't sound like a caveman, but like I go to a lot of metal shows, and I see a lot of bullies in the mosh pits. People that go there to take out their aggression from their mom not letting them buy that one thing, or they're just being bullies because they have shitty upbringings. And I'll keep an eye. I see them like just throwing punches at people and like with no regard. And you see people like stop, stop, and they just keep swinging because they're in the zone. Those are the guys that I'll run up to them and choke them out.
Nice.
And then as soon as they wake up, they're like, "What happened?" I'm like, "You were being an asshole. I had to put you in your place. That's it. I'm fine. I'm not here to fight you more. I'm not here to kill you. I just want you to settle down." And that's a moment where violence solved other violence, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does make sense. It brings up this story I heard in the news about this kickboxer named Joe Riggs or Joe. Fuck, I can't think of his name, but he was at
Riggs sounds familiar.
Yeah, he fucking David Acosta. If you're listening and you know his name, you tell me what his name is. But he was at a club in LA or wherever, and there was like a Snoop Dogg song playing, and there was this, and this guy's white, the guy that did this, but then this other dude that's white was like, singing along with the the lyrics, but he's doing the N word, and I do it too when I'm by myself, but don't do it at the club.
No, yeah.
And don't look at black people while you're saying it and not to justify what the dude did. That show, God, I can't think of his name, but it's all over kind of the internet because he's gonna get
Jamie,
arrested.
pull it up.
David. Joe. Anyways,
yeah.
That's
we'll go with Joe Riggs. That sounds about right to me.
Thank you. And he, he just fucking walks up to this dude and like 1, 2, 3s him, and he's out.
Yeah.
But this is a professional fighter against some probably douchebag college kid. Maybe
Well,
I don't know.
Did you see the video that went viral with the Twisted Tea can? That was a good one. It was a white kid it was like a grocery, not a grocery, like a convenience store, like a gas station or something like that. And he starts acting all tough and saying the N-word, like, "What's up, bro? What's up? What's up?" And the dude just fucking smacks him in the face with a can of Twisted Tea. It just explodes on his face. And the guy just falls down like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." It's like, yeah, that's what you got to do sometimes.
A little slap. Give him a little
slap with a can of Twisted Tea is all you need.
And then they'll learn their lesson. And I'm cool with the little slap or a little a nice fight even maybe, because people do need to be put in check.
Yeah.
If they're being an asshole, don't be an asshole, and that won't happen.
Ego takes over sometimes, it makes people act unnatural to themselves. I'm grateful for my life experiences that have made me. I'm still an asshole, but I'm doing it in a funny way. I'm not serious. I'm just here to joke with you. Like, I'm not here to fight, and that's fine with me if you're joking. When you take it way too seriously, like these dudes at shows or at even baseball games and sports games, you see them in the crowd like, "Fuck you, the Dodgers are the best." It's like, just I don't want to fight you over a baseball team. Like, relax.
Yeah. Soccer, but so baseball is still around.
Yeah. People still go to baseball games and fight. I've gone to a couple baseball games with Adam D from Killswitch, and usually we just sit there and make fun of the teams because we have our own teams. Like Adam has his teams that he follows from Boston because he's from up there. So we'll go to San Diego games and just laugh at the other teams. And people get really aggressive. People get upset that you're making fun of their baseball team like they're part of it or something.
It is. I mean, just went to we have our local soccer team, the Switchbacks that we sponsor. SHEATH sponsors them, and the New Mexico, whatever their team is called, came, and they had their little corner, and they're all wearing yellow, and I was like, "Fuck those guys over there." They're not my team. You're on the other team. And I mean, I'm joking, but
no, but it's cool. Yeah, it's cool to razz them and yell at them and like, you suck. But
you're gonna lose.
It's all in good fun, right? Once you start throwing fists that's when it becomes a problem. Like, okay, stop it. That's not that serious.
It isn't that serious. And yeah, I mean, I think that because of the times that we're in, be careful who you make fun of for, and do it. If I mean, you just be careful, I guess, ultimately,
Yeah,
even if it is in good fun, if you think, because sometimes what you think is good fun is not what the other person on the other side is going to think. So
exactly.
just be cool, make fun of yourself. Probably that's
Yeah.
a safe thing to do.
Self-deprecation is a very good
Yeah.
form of comedy. Just do that. It makes
Yeah.
people like you because they're like, "Oh, he hates himself."
Right. The Great Depression.
Yeah.
There's a uh, another comedian. I'm the worst. I'm gonna quit smoking so much weed. But there's one called The Great Depression. I forget Gil. You have to find his name. It's a he was like making fun of his depression, and somehow it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
That's the best therapy. Make fun of yourself.
laughter.
Laughter.
Oh, and we're gonna hop off here. But I just went and saw Tim Dillon at the Denver Comedy Club, and he brought this opener named Marcelo Hernandez,
Hmm,
Cuban and
okay.
Dominican from Miami. You got to look him up. He fucking murdered.
Marcelo Hernandez. I'll look him
Yeah,
up.
and he and the way you said it, it's so funny because he goes, "Are there any other Dominicans out there?" And this guy raises his hand and he says, "What's your name?" And he says, "David Hernandez," or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, I love you. You didn't say David Hernandez. You said David Hernandez." And
David Hernandez.
right. And so that was like he was making, he had the best jokes about TikTok. He has 300,000 followers on TikTok, and he's like, "It's a scam.
It is.
There's no money. Like, how do you have 100,000 consumers and not $1?"
Yeah.
And it was just I don't want to ruin it anymore because he killed.
I'll look
He
it
was
up. I'll
one of
look
the
him up for
funniest.
sure.
And his stuff on TikTok and Instagram, he has like these little comedy clips, and they're funny too. And love him. So love you, Eddy. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining me. Thank you for having me on your podcast, the RRBG, the Rock and Roll Beer Guy.
Which is out now. It's
It's
out today.
oh hell
Episode
yeah.
is. I usually post these things in the morning. I have to post it right after we finish this, but it's out. It's uploaded. It's on our YouTube. It's on Spotify and all of the things. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for coming on here. We'll do it again next year, and we'll keep
absolutely.
in touch. It's been a pleasure. That was fun. That was a good hour and a half.
Yeah, man, I had a good time. Thank you for having me on. Anybody that's watching and listening, check out the podcast, RRBG. I talk to people, musicians, comedians, athletes, entrepreneurs like yourself.
Mhm.
I recently had the Senator of California on there.
Wow. One of my
Uh,
favorite ones that you did was with Jeremiah Watkins. I love,
Jeremiah Watkins from
yeah,
he's got Scissor Bros. Shout out to him. You guys sponsor them as well.
yeah.
Tony Hinchcliffe has been on. I've
Wow.
had for musicians, there's Nine Inch Nails, there's Killswitch, there's pretty much everything. Rob Zombie, all the greats are on there. Yeah, check out the show. I got another show coming. I'm in the development stages right now with Joel Jimenez also from Kill Tony and Chroma Chris, the two guys from the Comedy Store Kill Tony band that stayed behind with Jeremiah.
Oh,
We're
so they stayed in LA and he went to Austin?
Well, no, Jeremiah stayed here as well, but they didn't follow to Austin with everybody else, and
Right. Okay, yeah.
so Joel and Chris
I
and
meant
myself.
Tony went to Austin. That's
Yeah,
what I meant to
Tony
say.
went to Austin. Yeah,
And Jeremiah and those other two stayed
yeah.
from the band. Yeah.
So Joel, Chris, and I are starting a show called Down the Hatch. It'll be a live show in front of an audience. It'll,
How fun.
yeah, and it's
What
gonna.
location?
We're right now talking to the Comedy Store. So
Wow. You're
we're
nearby there?
Yeah, I'm about 8 minutes from the store, so we're looking at getting that going at the Comedy Store. If it doesn't happen at the Comedy Store, we're still gonna do it. We're just gonna do
Mhm.
it somewhere else, but
Mhm.
we're definitely doing it. So follow DTH Pod if you want to check that or get in the ground floor as we're now just starting that up, rolling. I got my own beer is out now in
What?
Lincoln, Nebraska. My buddies Cosmic Eye Brewing did a beer called I Don't Really Listen to Podcasts.
How funny. What
And
do
it's
you That's
Yeah,
funny.
it's our collaboration. Like we went back and forth with what I wanted in a beer, and they did it. So that's being shipped to me. It actually just got shipped today. So I'll have some here, and there's some in
I
a
would
link.
love to be your first customer, if
Oh yeah,
not, if or your 10th or whatever.
I'll send you a cup. I'll send you a 4-pack. Don't worry
I
about it.
mean, just
You don't
send me
have
a
to buy
link. No,
it.
please let me buy it. Send me a link and I'll buy it. Give me a discount code or something. But
But yeah, that'll be available. It's available now if you live in Nebraska, and if not, it'll be available. Also doing some other projects too with some big names that I
this
can't
is
really.
very inspiring, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's a lot of.
I'm staying busy. I'm staying busy. So keep an eye on, and I post everything on the RRBG page anyway because that's like my main hub. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening right now.
Yeah, you're in the belly of the beast, and you're like in the middle of it. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you, working with us. We've been sponsoring the show, and you're doing great work. So thank you for continuing to put out great conversations. Check him out. He's better than me. I'm trying to get at his level. Still trying to get there.
Don't say that.
Well,
You're a business owner, my friend.
well, as far as in this profession,
Yeah.
I'm trying to elevate, my game. And that's why, and so having to talk with you and listening to you and seeing how it's done is helpful. So, and like, that was really cool. You doing that Spanish episode, and it had like a lot of views on YouTube compared to the other ones. So I was like, that it's very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I saw the reaction has been very good, so I'm thinking I need to do more of those.
Can't
I
hurt.
guess it can't
Yeah.
hurt, right?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, so I'm already working on who's going to be the next Spanish guest, but I'm definitely going to do more of those. I
That
think
was fun.
it was
Put
fun
some
for me.
subtitles.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be cool, honestly, because I'm trying to learn Spanish, and if I could hear people talking and then see the subtitles, that would be cool. Just throwing
Did
that
you?
out
So
there.
that one that you're talking about has
Oh,
I sat
did
there
you?
for 2.5 weeks adding subtitles myself.
On my
Uh,
okay, I was just listening to it,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
wasn't
Check out the video. I put subtitles, and it was a lot of work. I was gonna pay
nice.
somebody to do it, and they wanted like $500. I'm like, what if I figure out how to do this myself? And I
Hell
did.
yeah.
I
Well,
did.
then I'm gonna watch it again, and I advise you all to watch it so that you can learn something.
Learn some Spanish.
Yeah,
We're
it's
gonna take over eventually, and it's gonna
we'll
be
just
the.
we'll blend. We'll melt together over
Yeah.
time, and we'll blend the languages, or just speak Spanish, or just learn
We'll just
Spanish.
learn telepathy. That'd be great. So communicate with our minds.
hmm We're on the way, baby boy.
Yeah,
Thank you
man.
again.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna pop off. Thank you everyone for joining me. It's another good one. And this is gonna be like released today, tomorrow at the latest, because we have a backlog, but you're gonna cut in front of all them so that we can have the swap cast
Yeah,
like we talked
absolutely,
about. Okay.
absolutely. Cool,
All
man.
right, brother. So we're gonna say peace out. SheathUnderwear.com, ohanakavabar.com, RRBG podcast. We're out. Peace.